Hey, this is Gene. I just want to talk a little bit today. I want to talk about what happened yesterday at the game. Uh, Very good game for both teams. I think we found a little bit of the soft underbelly that Liverpool has. They played really well this year, but they have deficits that we pretty much exposed. Will other teams be able to do that? Did Liverpool not really press us as much as they should have? That was kind of the one thing that I didn't really understand from Liverpool's perspective. They didn't really press us like Newcastle did. Not really sure why that was, because clearly we're going to that game with no confidence. And I think that if they'd have done that, it'd have been interesting to see what would have happened. However, that we had the ball in the first half quite a bit. I think having that week of training really helped us. And I think that they saw after the first 5 or 10 minutes that they couldn't really do that to us, that we're going to open up lanes and it would cause issues with them. So they decided to do what they were going to do. Now, the biggest thing with Liverpool, they're a bully. Um, if they don't get their way, then they start doing shit. And if they get their first goal, then they just continually pound and pound and pound away. But they didn't play that well yesterday, but they didn't play poorly. And it was just funny to see all the Liverpool fans and fan channels sitting there saying that was the best or worst they had played all year. I watch all of it, man. When Liverpool plays, when Man City plays, even when they're not playing Manchester United, I watch them. I want to see why they're better than us. What can we do to actually do things that would compete against them? I watch Arsenal all the time. Liverpool has, let's just say this, their point totals is not really indicative of how they played. Uh, I don't think that they're any better than Arsenal when it comes to how they play. And clearly, there's a difference between us and those teams because they're more consistent. We aren't. But what I saw from our team, the fight, determination, actually playing for each other, playing in a team type of game, was nice to see. It was something that harkened back to when we were great. But I do want to talk about overall. I want to talk about what class really means, what world class really means, and talk about Mark Goldbridge and when he has an anti-English sentiment when he complains, when he talks about players, and it comes back every couple weeks. He says stuff like this. So I'll get to that, and I will put him in the name because I want him to see this. I want this come from somebody that I'm not really criticizing for what he does. I'm talking about he has a blind spot to this, whether it's because he wants to help those that are out of the country that follow him, that he wants to go down this road that they're the ones that are being oppressed because whenever people could criticize them, then that's somehow xenophobic. Okay, but I'll do that a little bit later in the video. Now, normally I would have been outside doing this. I don't like doing this, just sitting in the car or in my room doing it. But it started getting really cold over here. So, not so much of the coldness, but the wind is picking up. So, we're at freezing now. And it's going to be that way for a while here in northern Alabama. I have no issue with it, of the fact that my pool heater has to be on all the time now. So, it's going to cost me something that comes electric. And hopefully, the pool pump doesn't freeze or dies. So, yesterday I saw a class performance from a player that has been ridiculed by Mark Goldbridge so many fucking times that he said that he should be out of this country or out of this team so many times. And to be honest with it, if he would have scored at the end, it would have been probably one of the greatest performances of a center back in the history of Liverpool versus Manchester United games. He was immense. It almost seems like to me that he's lost or he's actually gained like half of his stride back. His pace is a little bit quicker. He came out so many times and stopped things. And the tackle that he had on Mo Salah that Anthony Taylor gave as a yellow and a foul, when it was a perfectly executed a slide tackle, perfect. And thank God they didn't score from it. That was a class performance. In the day, on that day, he was world class. That type of performance is similar to what Vidic used to do. That not Ferdinand, other than the fact that he was played the same position, but Ferdinand is more relatable to like Euro or something like that. He's more of a Royce type of player. I don't think that Vidic is faster than Maguire. I just don't think he is. I think, but I do think that training a certain way, probably doing something with his health, being over 30 and being able to play that type of way, I think he was immense. And it was, I feel so bad for him because he could have won the game. Now, I don't know if Xerxes was offside. I've heard that he wasn't. Some said he was. It was a poor pass from him. And you can't really blame him for just just giving it over to him because he's been taking so much shit from the fan base. So I don't understand. I mean, it's a perfect pass, other than the fact it just started bobbling. He hit it too hard. I'm not sure. Maybe he was trying to get it over to Garnacho, who was on the other side. I don't know. But you can't really blame. I mean, I don't think even Kane puts it on target 5 out of 10 times because the ball really went up high. Maybe he does. Maybe Kane puts it on target 6 out of 10. But it doesn't mean won't be blocked. There were two guys back there, but there was an opportunity at the end to win that game. And Liverpool was hanging on. They were. Again, early in the game, I don't understand why they didn't really go after us. I don't understand that. But they didn't do it. They made that decision, and we were in the game. But why I want to bring up Maguire is because this dude has taken so much shit in the press and our own fan base saying this shit about him forever. I've said several things that I never said he should lead the club. I thought he was always could be somebody who can come off the bench if we have a different type of player up front. If we're going to change our game to be a Paul pedestrian type of a game and have to bring out with it, and we want to be like everybody else, maybe he doesn't really meet that. But Mark Goldbridge has been saying for years that he should be out of this club, and said the vitriol he said about him for years and years can't really be ignored now, because when somebody says something about foreign players, then that's wrong. That we only do that to foreign players. That the only reason the press in England only goes after foreign players. I think that people forget the it's just the bias that they have, that they always talk about English players in the English press all the fucking time. And the idea that we just do it because only four players and somehow that's racist and somehow. I mean, this dude needs to be called out about it. What we saw from Maguire is that he had a couple times in his career that he wasn't playing very well. But he put his head down and he got better. And he always ended up being the guy that was always we had to go back and get to. Somebody had to come in and help us. And he did it. The year that we should have won the Europa League, now I could be wrong here, but I didn't look it up. I probably should look it up. But wasn't he hurt in that game? And he couldn't play? And we thought we weren't going to win it. It may not be that year, but there was one of the competitions we were in, and he was playing so well that year that he had a point that every time every play that we were going to win, he was one of our best players that year. And when he went down, we said, well, shit, we're not going to win it. And I don't think we did because of it, because he was playing so well. And it was a type of style that we had that really suited him. Now, people think he just can't play football. I mean, Mark always says this: if you know how to play the game, you play the game. Shit like that. Well, I don't think he understands it. I don't think he does. Harry Maguire is 10,000 times better than any other people that gets on the internet and says shit about him, unless they're former players. He is a good player. He can be he's a bigger dude. He sometimes he lumbers around the field, but technique-wise and everything else, he's still a good player. And the performance he played yesterday was Maldini. I mean, seriously, it was. And people will not want to give it. Now, I gave him a good rating after the game, and he said he was one of the guys that was in for man of a match. Now, I give it to Ugarte, because, I mean, there are levels in this game. Now, you're talking about a midfielder versus a center back, okay? But Ugarte is clearly our best midfielder. Comey isn't there yet. He is clearly, and the fact is, we're seeing more and more out of his game, and that's another thing. When I talk about class, that dude is class. I think he's world class. I think that we're totally different with him in the game. But my point is just because some pundits on TV or even on the internet sit there and say that Yargarte didn't start well, or Yorick is not Euro is not playing well, or Xerxes is not playing well, and that all of a sudden becomes, well, the only reason they say that is because they're foreigners. And then when somebody talks about an English player, and it's like, well, we never talk about Grealish, or we don't talk about Harry Maguire, or we don't talk about what Luke Shaw with that stupid ass cringy commercial. Everybody talks about it, but now it's just because if I say Martial is lazy, that means I hate race. I hate black people from France. I said the same thing about Berbatov. Why do you think that Berbatov actually sat down against Barcelona in the Champions League final? Why did Fergie make that decision? Did you think that he said, well, shit, he's very talented and he scores a lot of goals, or did he say, shit, we have to have somebody that's going to defend when we lose the ball? Now, Barcelona won those games. Some people say there was some reasons for that when it comes to PEDs. I mean, that team never looked like they were sweating. Just saying that. It's just interesting to me. The guy has the largest fan channel on earth, and he after I don't know, maybe not the first couple of years, but this has been his mantra forever. That if we criticize, and sometimes go over the top. Yeah, sometimes you might say something like that. Now that's racist because I guess native English people don't understand that when a player isn't tracking back, if we say that Rasher isn't tracking back, again, then that becomes racist, right? Even though he's an English player, then now it goes from, oh, you hate foreigners, but we can't say anything about Marcus because he's black and he's an Englishman. And it's like this circle jerk that usually that happens on the left, the woke people. And clearly Mark isn't, I won't say he's on the left, but when you're just a small C conservative in England, you're on the left. So I think he goes down there, and he somehow in his mind he thinks he has to defend people like this. Most people that watch Manchester United, the fans of Manchester United, most. Now we have a huge fan base, a lot of bad, stupid people online, and some of them are racist, no question about it. Very small, but there are some of them. He just has this idea that his viewpoint, when somebody says something about something else, is based on the color of their skin or their ethnics or their foreign registry. All we really want as a Manchester United fans is what we saw yesterday. All the teams fighting for each other, having that determinality, mentality. Even if we lose the game, that they're going to know we're there. And the biggest thing that I got upset watching them against Newcastle is they never showed Newcastle they were there. They didn't go in and hit people and show that they were there. We showed that yesterday. And we clearly deserved what we got. Should have won that game. On another day, we win the game. Another game, Liverpool might win that game. Still, I don't understand why Liverpool started the way they did. But they made that decision. Maybe we did something that just they were worried about. I don't know. We didn't have Marcus out there with the whatever. This is the type of team that we want. Even if we're not going to win everything, as long as they actually fight for the badge, that means everything to us. And I was nice to see that Xerxes was getting the crowd was cheering the name while he was playing on the pitch. I just wish he would either went for the goal or made a better pass there. But again, he played well when he came on. And I think the only person that really had a really good game today was Rasmus. He has to get the idea where he actually can hold on to the ball instead of falling down all the time. And that can be trained out of him. So he's not a player that we're not going to be able to fix. Same thing with Xerxes. Now, if his mind isn't here and he wants to go back to Serie A, or he doesn't want the challenge or a challenge of being the Premiership because it's a physical place. The problem with him, and as other supporter needs to understand this, We can't make a dude that's 6'3" that looks like that. He has all the physical attributes to be a great player. He is really good with the ball at his feet. He just has to understand the pace of the game and be better at holding on to the ball and making the better pass. But he also has to use his physicality. And once we understand that, now that's hard sometimes. I mean, Berbatov had issues with that. You have to show and the drive to actually use their mentality to go forward. He is the same size as Holland. I think on the ball, I think he's better than Holland. But he has to have that mentality that he has to do that. And I think that that's the only reason why we're going to get rid of him. If Anarin doesn't think that he can get that mentality into him, then yes, we'll get rid of him. But physically wise, what he actually could do if he actually believes in himself, I think he could be a beast in this league. I really believe that. He has all the other things that he has to have, but he has to believe that he can be that way. He's used to. I have this comparison. I was always usually taller than everybody, but I was a great shooter from the outside. And I would just sit there and say, just throw me the ball on the outside. Now, how the game has changed so much, my type of game would have probably allowed me to play in college, at a certain level. Maybe. I mean, I'm only 6'3". But when I was going through high school, my shots were 2-point shots. So 16, 17 points a game. But if it had been now, I'd have been 30. But I didn't allow myself to use the size to go down low and really make my game better. And that's really what Xerxes has to do. He has the size. He has to believe in himself. He's got strong shoulders. I mean, he could be a really player. And the fact that he has the ability at his feet, I can see him actually turning people and be away. He's not the fastest, but he's not slow. And there's something there. Now, there's so many teams, already fans that want to get rid of him. So many fan channels that said it's time for him to go. And I just, really? He's only been here for 6 months. And we're going to get rid of him already? We're going to put him on low? No. I mean, Hoyland is not the finished article. Until we get an actual striker, you have to have both of them to play that position. And there are games, if the rest of our team could get a little bit better, show the fight, show the system, show that, then those two players are going to get better. I thought Garnacho came on and did his thing. He actually started passing the ball. And I really think that Garnacho can play a wing back in the system. I actually believe that. I think him and Ahmad could be way on the other side and be the wing backs. What do you do with the low then, and what do you do with Mazarawi? You could do different things with that. But there are a lot of players that could do both. And I think also Delo actually raised his game and actually did something and showed a attacking threat. But get back to Mark. Again, I give him all the credit in the world to build that channel over 2 million subscribers. It's just when he goes down that road and he basically says that fans that actually talks about other players and when they're playing poorly, that somehow that's always rated on where they come from, where that player comes from. Is there a segment of our fan base that is kind of like that? Yeah, sure. But you got to understand, 15, 20 years ago, Manchester United was 80% white that were from the UK or from Scotland or the Scandinavian countries. There's been a huge change when it comes to the diversity when it comes to soccer players in England. Some of that's been good, some of it's not been so good. The game has not really improved. It hasn't. Just because one guy might be able to go faster than the other doesn't mean the game's actually improved. And just because Liverpool can play their way, that kind of game can be stopped. And Madrid has done it. I mean, it can be done, all right? And we showed it yesterday. It can be done as well. And we're of a diverse team as well. We have players from all around the world that play for Manchester United. And it's this idea that it's only because they come from a different postcode than the English players. Well, everybody fucking loves Martinez. And we're all giving him a little bit of a break when it comes to his form. Now, we're saying He needs to go. And there are people now, fan channels saying that Martinez should go. What did you see yesterday? Another class performance from a great player when he's had chances to train and everybody understands what they're supposed to do. He had a great performance yesterday. The idea we don't have players who can play the game is wrong. And I love that what Amaron said after the game. It's never been the system. It's always been about mentality. And that's the problem that they have. They have not had a player, a coach that said, other than Jose, that says you're going to play this way and you're going to do this and you're going to fight for the batch and everything like that. And you're going to do that. Ole wanted to be their friend. And he had good enough players that for a while, that was good enough. Ten Hag, right now, looking at it, I think that we're fortunate that we got Amaron. I just hope that we learned from that. Of course, I didn't want Ten Hag to go. I always thought it was the players. But you have to understand there was an issue with Ten Hag. He basically changed his style to suit the players. Whereas Amaron's come in and said, no, you're going to do this, and this is what's going to be. And at the end of the day, I don't care what type of formation I put out there, you have to give everything. And if you don't, you're going to be out. And people are starting to understand that. Garnacho's understanding this. Rashford's going to know it. And have a good career wherever you're going to go, Rashford, if you actually leave. But I just want, before I close, I just want this to be out there. People can have their opinion. Not everybody that complains about a player that comes from another place isn't racist. All right, some might be. Some might have biases because they want to see certain players play. Most of them are just upset because they're not playing well. And you think that if it was me, I would give everything to play in the Manchester United shirt. You would do everything. And when you see players don't do it, you get upset. And we don't give a shit what color they are. We don't care where they come from. I might give them a little bit of a break if they're not from Manchester, right? For actual Manchester locally. And I might go after Rashford harder because he grew up in the system. And if he doesn't do as well, he doesn't track back, I'll probably give him a little bit more. But it's never going to be based on the color of the person's skin, where their grandparents came from. That's not how I am. And I don't think that most people are like that way as well. Just because some people said on the internet after he missed the penalty in the Euros that somehow everybody's racist against people doesn't mean that it's true. There's a reason why we're called fans. We're fanatic, right? It's all part of that. And the issue is you can say things and you can say everybody's this and this and this, but when you do it all the time against people that are English, the England captain, Manchester United captain, saying he should be out of this club, said so much vitriol shit against Maguire, try to tell everybody you understand the game, when clearly Harry Maguire has been one of the best servants of this club since post-Fergie. Him and Bruno are clearly, you could say Rashford too, are clearly the top that's been since Fergie. It's not even close. And there was a time that Maguire was world-class, and that performance yesterday was world-class. Guys, thank you for watching. Please share, like if you like, and we'll talk to you later. Have a good day.